Why midlife can trigger an identity crisis. Have you looked around your life and thought, is this really it? Not because it's terrible, not because you've done anything wrong, because something doesn't feel right. Something feels off. Maybe for the first time in years, you're asking yourself questions like, who am I now? What is it that I actually want? Is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? You may not be having a crisis. You may be waking up. For many, midlife can feel surprisingly unsettling. You spent decades building a life. You raised children, built a career, supported a partner, cared for parents, managed responsibilities, solved problems, and showed up for everybody else but you. And now, many of those roles are changing. Your children don't need you in the same way they did before. Your career may be shifting. Your parents may no longer be with you or require the same level of care from you. Relationships evolve, and life looks quite different. And suddenly, there's space. And that space can feel uncomfortable. If we haven't met yet, I'm Elaine Louise Stewart, and I help women who feel like they've lost themselves in their life somewhere along the way and are looking to find their way back. Today, I want to talk about why so many women experience what feels like an identity crisis and why it might actually be an invitation. Many women think they're having an identity crisis because something feels wrong, but often what's happening is much simpler. For years, your identity has built around the roles that you've been playing in your life. Mother, wife, daughter, caretaker, employee, provider, problem solver, helper. And those roles mattered, but they're not the whole of who you are. When those roles begin to change, something very interesting happens. The parts of you that have been put on hold are asking to be heard. The dreams you postponed, the desires you pushed aside, the interests you never had time for, the voice that got quieter and quieter over the years. Suddenly, it all starts knocking at the door, and it feels like a crisis. Many women have spent years taking care of others, but very little time learning how to take care of themselves. You may know what everybody around you needs. But when somebody says, well, what do you need? You freeze. Not because you don't care, but because you spent so many years looking outward that you forgot or became disconnected from what's inside, from looking inside yourself. Maybe you found yourself saying, I don't even know what I enjoy anymore, or I should be happy, but something feels like it's missing. Or, I thought I'd feel different by now. Or perhaps you've achieved many of the things that you set out to achieve, and you're surprised to discover the question alone, the achievement alone, doesn't really answer the question, who am I now? The good news is, this isn't a problem that needs to be solved. It's an invitation to explore, because midlife often gives us something we didn't have before. Perspective, wisdom, experience, and perhaps most importantly, permission. Permission to ask questions that were buried beneath decades of responsibility. If you're in this place right now, here are two things that you can do. First, start paying attention to what brings you joy. Not what you think you should enjoy, or not what looks productive, not what other people want from you, but what genuinely makes you feel alive. And curiosity is often at the beginning of reconnection, of reconnecting with yourself and your inner wisdom. Second, begin asking yourself this question regularly. What do I want? And it sounds simple, but many women find it surprisingly difficult. Start small. What do I want today? What do I want this weekend? What do I want more of in my life? You don't need all the answers. You just need to start listening. And if you take nothing else from this video, I want you to listen to these 3 things. Life transitions often expose needs, dreams, and desires that have been pushed aside for maybe decades. Second, what feels like an identity crisis may actually be an invitation to reclaim parts of yourself that you've neglected. Third, reinvention doesn't begin with changing your life. It begins with reconnecting with yourself. If you've ever asked yourself, who am I now? Or is this really my life? Please know that you are not alone. Many women reach this stage of life and start questioning things they've never questioned before. Not because they're failing, not because they've made mistakes, but something inside them is asking for attention. And that attention may be the beginning of your next chapter. If this spoke to you, subscribe and we'll walk this path together. You've done brave things before. This is just the next step. Next time, we'll talk about something many women struggle with: how to stop saying yes when you mean no. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.